Let me start with a number that doesn't feel real. $650 million. That, reportedly, is how much this man earned over the course of his career. To put that in perspective, if you spent $1,000 every single day and never stopped, it would take you almost 1,800 years to burn through that much money. He did it in a fraction of a single lifetime. At his peak, he owned a private island, a 14-bedroom estate, a 156-foot yacht with a full-time crew. Not one home, but 14 of them, scattered across the world. And then, in just a few short years, almost all of it was gone. This is the story of how one of the highest-paid actors who ever lived reportedly lost a fortune most people couldn't spend in 10 lifetimes. And the single quiet decision that made the whole thing possible. And before you assume the answer is something obvious, that he gambled it away, or got robbed, or made one catastrophic mistake, I need you to stick with me, because the truth is stranger than that, and a great deal more useful. He didn't lose his fortune in one dramatic moment. There was no single disaster, no one villain. He lost it slowly, quietly, through an ordinary-sounding decision that thousands of wealthy people make every single year, and most of them never see it coming until it is far too late. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what that decision was. And if you're honest with yourself, you might just recognize a smaller, quieter version of it somewhere in your own life. First, the rise, because the climb here was every bit as staggering as the fall. For most of the 2000s, he was, quite simply, the most bankable movie star on the planet. Studios didn't just want him in their films, they built entire franchises around him because audiences would follow him into almost anything he touched. One series alone reportedly paid him over $1 billion across its run. At his absolute peak, he was commanding somewhere around $20 million per film. And that was before his cut of the profits, which on a global blockbuster could be worth even more than the salary itself. Think for a moment about what that actually means. A single yes, a single signature on a single contract could be worth more than most hardworking people earn across an entire lifetime. And he was saying yes, again and again, year after year. For the better part of a decade, he was less an actor than an industry unto himself. A one-man franchise that printed money for nearly everyone around him. So understand this clearly. Money was never the problem here. Money was pouring in faster than almost anyone in the entire industry could match. The checks were enormous, and they kept coming, which is exactly what makes what happened next so genuinely hard to believe. So how do you lose a fortune like that? Slowly, and then all at once. Because here is where the numbers stop making any sense at all. According to documents from a later lawsuit between the actor and his own financial managers, his lifestyle was costing him somewhere in the region of $2 million. Not per year, per month. Let that sit for just a second. $2 million a month, every single month, going out the door. Reportedly, around $30,000 of that went to wine alone, monthly. He kept a personal staff of roughly 40 people on permanent payroll. He reportedly spent millions of dollars to honor a promise to a late friend, building a custom cannon to fire the friend's ashes from the top of a specially built tower. He owned a string of homes around the world, a cluster of islands in the Caribbean, a working village in the south of France, private planes, round-the-clock security, that enormous yacht, and the crew to run it. And none of this, not one piece of it, is rumor or exaggeration. These are figures that came out in open court, under oath. It was, in truth, less a lifestyle than a small and very expensive country. Staffing it and maintaining it and insuring it and flying between its scattered corners at a moment's notice. And he was personally funding every corner of it, all at once, month after month after month. But here is the thing you really have to understand. Spending alone, even genuinely staggering, almost cartoonish spending, does not, on its own, bankrupt a man earning $20 million a film. The math, on paper, should still hold together. So something deeper had to be broken underneath it all. And this is the decision I promised you at the very start. The one sitting at the dead center of the entire collapse. Like a great many people who reach that altitude of wealth, he handed his entire financial life over to other people. A management company collected his income, paid his bills, handled his taxes, moved his money, and made his investments. All of it. He made the art. They ran the machine. And on the surface, that sounds completely reasonable. It sounds like exactly what a busy, successful person is supposed to do. Delegate. Trust the experts, and focus on what you alone are great at. And for a while, when the income feels endless, it works perfectly. The bills get paid. Nobody asks the hard questions. The machine hums along in the background, but it hides a quiet, devastating danger. Because when you never actually look at your own books, when you genuinely do not know, month to month, what is coming in versus what is going out, you have surrendered the single most important piece of information in your entire financial life. You have no way of knowing whether the ground beneath your feet is still solid or whether it has already, silently and completely, given way. And by the second half of the 2010s, the ground was giving way fast. The income from those mega franchises began to slow. The $20 million paydays grew rarer, and then rarer still. But the $2 million a month lifestyle, that did not slow down even slightly. It kept right on running, exactly as before, like an engine that no one had remembered to switch off. Every single month, the same $2 million left, whether or not $2 million had come in. And that gap, the silent, widening space between what was coming in and what was going out, is precisely where great fortunes quietly go to die. When it all finally caught up with him, the fallout was brutal and extremely public. Lawsuits went flying in both directions. The actor accusing his managers of mishandling his money, the managers firing right back that he had, spectacularly, overspent for years and ignored every warning along the way. Each side blamed the other. And in the meantime, the empire itself began to dissolve in real time. Properties went up for sale. The great yacht was sold, reportedly to a famous author. Artwork, assets, the accumulated trophies of a 30-year career, piece by piece, quietly, they went out the door. What had taken decades of talent and work to build came apart in a matter of months. And here is the part that actually matters for you and me. Even though most of us will never see so much as a sliver of that kind of money. Because the lesson here is not rich celebrities are reckless. That's too easy, and it lets the rest of us off the hook. The real lesson is far more uncomfortable and far more universal. The fastest way to lose your money is rarely one big, dramatic mistake. It is letting your spending quietly rise to match your best moment. And then simply assuming that every moment after it will be just as good. It is handing your finances over to someone else so completely that you slowly stop paying any attention to them at all. He didn't lose $650 million on a single bad bet. He lost it the way that nearly everyone loses money. Gradually, comfortably, one normal-feeling decision at a time, while quietly looking the other way. The richest man in the room can still go broke. All he has to do is never, ever check the books. Now, he had a fortune most of us can barely even imagine, and he watched it slip right through his fingers. But the next story I want to tell you might be even harder to believe. It's about a man who made $30 million at the absolute height of his fame and then filed for bankruptcy just 4 years later. How does someone burn through a fortune that fast? That story is waiting for you, right here. Watch it next.